Yellow, it is your host, little aka Robbie the Robo Cutie here. And today, I am going to explain, as you can see over here, to my left. Well, technically my right, your left is actually your left, my right. To my right over here. We got Voldo from Soul Calibur franchise. Did you know that he was one of the only 3 characters in the entire franchise to be featured in every Soul Calibur game? Yeah, that's right. That's a good fact you should know immediately. Good game, good game. Ha 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 ha. Alright, let's explain who Voldo is for the general public. First things first, you might understand that he looks like this, which is kind of disturbing to the general public, but do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. Do not be concerned about this look. That's just how he is due to the fact that he's been literally surrounded by darkness after his master's death, which we will get to as part of our first act of lore necessarily to talk about. So before we go into Voldo, we gotta go into his master Verci. Verci, aka the Italian's weapons merchant of death, is basically, as I said, an Italian weapons merchant. He's nicknamed the Merchant of Death by a lot of people. And around the time of the first Soul Blade, basically, which is Soul Calibur before Soul Calibur, so to speak, Verci, decided to go after Soul Edge by sending Cervantes de Leon and Voldo before Voldo was like, well, looking like this. Voldo did not look like this originally because, well, Verci was alive and stuff. It makes sense in this specific occasion. And Voldo gave Cervantes de Leon a pistol sword along with other cannons that are like sacred cannons, stuff like that, because Cervantes wanted the same artillery and stuff like that, the same cannons that Verci gave to the Spanish Armada, and he got his request granted, I guess, for Cervantes' services to help find Soul Edge. And around the time of some sort of Italian war of some sort, Verci's treasures were all mostly taken away, so he dug a gargantuan pit, a merciless pit in an island on the Mediterranean. Not even joking. He just decided to like, hey, my stuff got stolen. Let's dig a gargantuan pit in the middle of the Mediterranean. And so he did, and he filled it with lots of traps and stuff, such as 50-meter deep pits, which is a lot of meters, I think. I don't know how much feet that is, but it's like really huge in size. And I hope. And other things like poison darts, and if anyone goes past all of those, which we'll get to in the future of this video, Voldo would finish them off because they're probably already at a unstable grounding to continue, so to speak. Now back to before. Well, technically, I already talked about what all you need to know before Verci died. So now we're at the point where Verci does die, and then Voldo defends the pit, loses his. Oh, no, he doesn't really lose his vision. He just goes insane practically, and his insanity basically gives him a loss of sight and a speaking ability, somewhat. He can still somewhat speak, but not as much as he used to when he wasn't in that gargantuan pit full of treasure, which the pit is at this point known as the secret money pit at this timeline, which is, well, it makes sense for it to be a secret money pit because people don't want it to be found. Well, Voldo doesn't want it to be found, or else he has to kill people. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. Good. And as a result, from that perspective, Voldo continues to fulfill Verci's wish after Verci died in terms of finding Soul Edge, which he fails to do so for several times, but he does actually eventually find it during either the 3rd or 4th game, from what I recall in my wiki searches. Most likely the 4th game, because during the time of the 4th game, he believes that the spirit that he's talking to is Verci, but it's actually Voldo. No, not Voldo. Sorry. Soul Edge trying to disguise the spirit that it's creating, like the after image of Verci, as the actual Verci, when it's not actually Verci, it's just Soul Edge making some weird ass after image based vocal thingy. and it possesses Voldo, and Patroclus, we don't talk about that dude by the way, cleanses the manifestation of Voldo in Soul Calibur 5, if that matters at any point, but we don't talk about the 5th game because Patroclus exists. During this time frame, however, apparently Voldo in the 2nd game, between the events of the 1st and 2nd game, stole Yoshimitsu's sword, and that's why they are rival battles in both the 2nd and the 3rd game, which is kind of cool. I didn't even know that was a thing until I looked at the wiki. That's pretty cool. So, yeah. That's basically what you need to know currently about Voldo. There's a couple other things, like his weapons themselves, which are known as Menace and Ayas, in which they're basically a twin pair of Jamadars, which can be mistaken as Bundi daggers according to some people, as Virgie said in the 6th game. So you can call them either Katars or Jamadars. If you want to determine your knowledge of the weapon. Really good stuff, especially since Voldo is practically the master of the weapon due to the insanity, causing him to, well, since he lost his sight, be able to use his super hearing from the insanity he gained to basically move around like some random worm, snake, all these random creatures of horrifying display. When he looks very creepy, it's actually just, well, part of the insanity that he has received for being in an extremely dark secret money pit, which is very tragic. He ain't a creep. He's just extremely sad in terms of story and stuff, and he's just trying to fulfill his master's wish after his master died, which makes him one of the most sad but also loyal characters in fighting game history I've ever seen. And it still stuns me to this day how much dedication this guy gets. I even know a dude who, like, mained the character. I mean, I don't actually know him personally, but he's like a famous streamer himself going by the name of Eris, or Avoiding the Puddle, however you want to consider it. Good dude. Very nice. Hey, alright, whatever you want to consider about him. Yeah, he was really good. He actually won this World Cup in France in 2004, which is nice. And he had to defeat a Nightmare player on 2 separate occasions to do so, who was apparently like the actual strongest in the world in the timeline of 2004, and so on and so forth. It's pretty good. Soul Calibur in general, especially the 2nd game, it's just a really good game, and Voldo is one of those characters that's like, if you know how to play Voldo, everyone dies. Everyone just dies. You can see that from the results of anyone who actually does play Voldo, that when someone plays Voldo, the opponent dies. Because they are just way too skilled at just mix-ups and like confusing the opponent with literally everything written down in his books of the Jamadars. Really good weapon, really good style. Tragic, but loyal to the end. A beautiful grandmaster of his skills and determination to fight until the mission is succeeded. Have a good day, bye bye now.